or be amused. I can sing you tender songs of love. I can give you very... What may be your mood? I am always ready to entertain you. I never get tired, and you will never tire of me, for I always have something to do to offer. My voice is the clearest, smoothest, and most natural of any talking machine. The name of my famous master is on my body, and tells you that I am a genuine...
I don't know what Nanook, the great hunter, is thinking as he listens to the voice from the gramophone, but I know what you're thinking that Nanook is thinking. You're thinking that Nanook must be mesmerized by such a strange voice. In fact, you are mesmerized by the idea of how mesmerized Nanook must be. When you look at him, you're experiencing your own trauma of never having had such a trauma in the first encounter with a gramophone. Because when you were born, it was already too late, and the world was already filled to the brim with such strange spirits. Think of that slogan produced by the BBC.
This is the BBC in Beijing, Sofia, Delhi.
Wherever you are, you're with the BBC.
Wherever you are, you're with the BBC. You shouldn't have to be paranoid schizophrenic to hear how this rings like a threat. But those voices have lulled you and dulled your senses, and now this slogan sounds like an invitation to celebrate. A celebration in the name of ubiquity, the power of these voices to reach you anywhere, wherever you are. A celebration in the name of fidelity, fidelity as in loyalty, loyalty to the voice.
Now it's Caruso's turn.
The voice of one crying in the wilderness. Caruso's voice caresses the forest, and the forest rises up and sprawls around his voice. And then in a sudden flash, the wilderness will have grown into a garden. Fitzcarraldo, just like so many other explorers before him, is not actually interested in how the wild ones will react to his voice machine. He already knows the answer. He just wants to see it happen again, to re-experience that indistinguishable moment when the drums suddenly stop, when the fidelity of one voice makes the others into creatures of fidelity, and what once was suddenly was no longer. An executive at the Victor Talking Machine Company once said that the reason for the success of the His Master's Voice logo lies in the fact that it's a perfect image of fidelity. A fidelity on both sides of the phonograph's horn. The dog is transfixed by the fidelity in the reproduction of the voice of his dead master, and this fidelity makes the dog even more determined to keep his own fidelity to the master, to remain loyal to him even after his master has passed away. The Victor Talking Machine Company becomes so excited by the dog's promise that they promise the dog to improve their technology and bring even greater fidelity to the voice. When the dog hears this, he wags his tail hysterically and says that he will listen to this voice day and night. And so it goes on, escalating into ever higher levels of fidelity. But this is not an image of fidelity. For the dog is actually not transfixed by the fidelity in the reproduction of the voice. He is transfixed by the idea that his dead master is still there somewhere in the flesh. The phonograph fools him. At the heart of fidelity lies an infidelity.